You know, we've got Jeffrey R. Smith joining us for an hour and a half after Paris joins us for about 45 minutes coming up in the next segment. So I'm going to bring Tarpley back at the last 30 minutes of the show because he's already going to be here recording with Genesis in another room, his Sunday show. And Webster, tell folks when that is on here on the GCN network.
It's actually World Crisis Radio, and it's available, of course, on demand, like all the shows are. But for me, it's a whole week. It's a weekly show. I tape it on Friday afternoon, and it comes on Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern, so 1 o'clock Central.
All right, good. Folks can hear that.
On demand.
Okay, the little bit of time we have left, we're going to bring you back in on the Mumbai attacks because it's so important. They say they're going into Pakistan. They say there's going to be a crisis there.
Right.
And then on cue, it starts. And you were talking about the Israeli situation, and this could be a reverse false flag. It could be a setup, but they were wearing the large Hindu sect Zionist wristbands. They had LSD, cocaine, classic mind control. You have the intelligence chief who had just caught them months ago. The Indians, he busted
Karkare.
Yes.
They killed him.
Yes. Well, let's get into that because the evidence, there's hundreds of pieces. Only terrorism chiefs that had exposed that the Indian government was staging terror attacks, they all die within minutes.
Right. So basically, the British, we've done. The Israelis, General Mizrahi, the head of the Israeli armed forces, ground forces, goes to the disputed area of Kashmir. That's a big affront to the Muslim Pakistani side of it, right? The whole Kashmir issue is something that we should go through. It's basically India is occupying Islamic populations. The UN resolutions on Kashmir is that they're supposed to be free elections. Who's blocking the free elections is India, not Pakistan. So the Israelis are very big. You could also say, look at the ineptitude, look at the stupidity of the Indian special forces, right? They were trained by the Israelis, and now they're screwing it all up.
Well, no,
that went on for 65 hours.
They stand down and don't shoot, and then 5 of the terrorism chiefs and deputies who'd all criticize the government, they are the ones that only magically get triple tapped apiece.
Right.
Impossible.
Okay. But now, concerning this, the U.S., let's not forget the U.S. In these so-called federally administered tribal areas, in other words, the northwest frontier, the northwest area of Pakistan that's along the Afghan border, the CIA, in addition to flying these Predator drones, they also have stations. I mean, they have strong points, right? They have centers of operations among the federally administered tribal areas, and we can assume that they're busily recruiting patsies, fanatics, crazies, mercenaries, hooligans, whatever, to also become terrorists. One of the things the Pakistanis ought to do is to kick the CIA out of those federally administered tribal areas, not let them in there anymore.
Okay, in the few minutes we've got left.
Concerning now, 2 more.
Okay.
The Hindus, the RSS, okay? There's this thing, the RSS is a Hindu extremist, racist organization with strong fascist overtones.
They killed Gandhi.
Yeah, in effect. They're the descendants of the killers of Gandhi, exactly.
Because he wouldn't kill Muslims.
Right, because he was not in favor of religious war. So here we have the religious war party, and sure enough, the U.S. and the British are backing
And they're the ones tied in with Israel.
That would be, as far as I can see, the ones with this blue, pink armband that the one guy was wearing. But the RSS has been killing people all over India for years and years. You never hear about that.
And it's RSS infiltrators that keep doing false flags to the Muslims.
Look, you have a terrorist swamp, then you have the RSS provides the ideology for that. Then you have the BJP, which is the governing party, and they are now bidding fair to take over the government again in the backlash to what has just gone on.
And they give the conduit or the tunnel for the people to be brought in. But putting an end cap on this because it's about him, we're going to come back.
End cap is the RAW, R-A-W. You heard about the ISI, right?
Yes.
Everybody knows the ISI. How about the RAW, the Research and whatever they call it, the Research and Research and Analysis Wing, the Research and Analysis Wing of Indian Intelligence. They are up in Afghanistan, recruiting crazies from Afghanistan to bring them down and have them engage in terrorism against Pakistan. So the Indians have a real dirty aspect. Maybe the Israelis.
Well, it's these same groups setting off bombings in the last few months, trying to overthrow the Pakistani government, and they're admittedly Western-backed. And the Pakistani government has been saying the West is staging this as a pretext, and that was the final point, to bring pressure in on Pakistan or even overthrow them. So when you come back in a few hours, we will break down that. But in the last minute we have, Talk about that.
Just,
what is the point of all this?
The point of it is to play India against Pakistan.
Bring in a radical government.
Both.
Bring in a radical war government into India.
And if you play India against Pakistan, you destroy both. In other words, the Indian military would inflict grievous damage on Pakistan. But India is a country with 1 billion Hindus, but there are 200 million Muslims.
That'll cause tribal warfare around the time. So it's just like Iran, Iraq being played off against each other, both sides being funded by the U.S.
It's much bigger. It's huge.
It's not 60 million and 20
times
million.
bigger.
It's not 60
and
million
nuclear
and 20
weapons
million.
on both sides.
It's hundreds of millions against a billion plus.
And nukes on both sides, which in the case of the Middle East, you absolutely.
And then that's the Brookings Institution and others coming out and RAND a few months ago saying we need a world war, something on that scale. Okay, Webster, thank you. We'll talk to you in a few hours back in studio.
Great.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.